Hi, second grade. I am so excited to be learning along with you today. We are going to be diving into measurement some more. Let's find out today what we're going to be learning, and then I'm going to show you something before we get started that I think will amp up our challenge just a little bit. Let's go ahead and get those bow and arrows ready. I can compare the length of objects. I underline this word compare in our learning target today because that's our action. That's our verb that we're going to do. We're going to find out how these objects are similar and how they're different. We're going to use words like longer and shorter. And we're going to be thinking about those standard units of measure: centimeters, inches, meters, yards, feet. We're going to be using those to help us measure and find the length of all of our objects. Are you excited? I know I am. Before we get started though, I have to tell you I was thinking about what I do in my classroom when I'm not being videoed. And there's something that I do with my students all the time. And that is developing habits. Do you know what a habit is? A habit is something that you do without even thinking. It's like after you go to the bathroom, you wash your hands. It's a habit. When you eat some dinner, you have a napkin to wipe your hands. When you brush your teeth, you rinse out your mouth before you're finished. There are habits that we do every day in life that we do without even thinking. We breathe without even thinking. We eat when we're hungry without even thinking sometimes. Habits are things we do without even thinking. Well, mathematicians do have habits too. And one of the things we've been doing all year long, especially if you've been watching my videos, is we explore the different ways that we solve problems, right? Someone might use a different model than us. Someone might use base 10 blocks to solve something, while someone else might use a number line. Some of our friends might add to solve a problem, and some of them might subtract to solve that same problem. We all solve problems different ways. Well, when we think about those different ways, we call those pathways. And when we explore those pathways, we as mathematicians see new ways of solving things that we might not have thought of before. One of those habits that we do all the time, and we're really going to focus on it this week, is to think about these different ways that our friends solve them. And then we're going to take it one more step, and we're going to compare those ideas and those thoughts. We're going to be thinking about how my way might be different than your way. If you're at home and you solve a problem and your mom or dad solves a problem, you might go about it a different way. Comparing those ways, thinking about how those ways are similar and different, just like we compare objects and their length. So we're going to be doing these two pieces, and we've really already been doing them, but I wanted to show you that we call those habits, and they are things that we do as mathematicians all the time to make us think a little bit deeper about the work that we are doing. Let's start out and think about how we can put those habits into practice in our classroom today. Our first problem says, measure each object to the nearest centimeter. Oh, friends, what can you tell me about a centimeter? Is this a centimeter? No. Is this a centimeter? No. This is a centimeter. Remember our body benchmarks from last week. Our centimeter's about 1 pinky wide, okay? My little pinky's about 1 centimeter wide. That's what you can use if you don't have one of these. Now, I hope that you have a baggie full of goodies from your teacher. But if you don't, you could use your body benchmark to help you solve this problem. We're actually going to be measuring some things that you have at home. They are a fork and a spoon. So if you don't have those, pause me and go get those, because you're going to have a chance to measure your own objects that are around your house today. Once you're back, you may go ahead and replay me so that you can see us measuring these. Take a minute, and I want you to measure these objects to the nearest centimeter. That means if it's a little bit longer than a centimeter, you're going to measure to the closest one. If it's really, really close to one, but it's not quite there, you're going to measure up to that next centimeter. Measure to the nearest centimeter, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that here. What do we have to remember, mathematicians, when we're measuring something? Yeah, we've got to make sure we start it at the 0. That we extend it and see how far we can go. And I have to kind of move my fork so I can see it a little bit easier. But what do you notice? Yes, my fork lands at about that 21 centimeter mark. So I'm going to draw a fork. And I'm going to label it as 21. Now this said centimeter, the whole word, but I'm going to go ahead and draw that little symbol for the little shortened version of it. And I'm going to say that this fork is 21 centimeters. That cm stands for centimeter. How about our spoons? And yours might be a little different than mine. Okay, friends? So you can go with what you have measured, or you can go with my measurement. It's up to you. But we are going to be comparing these in a minute. So this is just the first part of our job. It's almost like a 2-step word problem, but it's a 2-step problem that we are having to do to measure these to find out the answer. Again, I'm going to start it out at my 0. I do need to kind of move my spoon so that I can see where it lands. And what do you notice? Yes, it lands at about my 16 centimeter mark. Again, we're measuring to the nearest centimeter. So it might be a little past it. It might be almost to it, but we're going to round either up or down to that next one, the closest one. So here's my spoon. And what do we say it was? It was 16 centimeters long. Now let's take a minute. I've got 2 questions for us to think about. Which one is longer? Which one is longer? Put your thumbs in front of your tummies when you think that you know. Which one is longer? What do you think? Well, why do you think the fork is longer? Okay, so because 21 is bigger than 16, or it's greater than 16, it's a bigger number. It has 2 10s instead of just 1 10. So we know that 21 is greater than 16, so that fork is going to be longer than our spoon. So which object is longer? Our fork is. Now, let's go back to that learning target. It says, I can compare the length of objects. So the length of the fork is 21 centimeters. The length of the spoon is 16 centimeters. We know the fork is longer, but our next problem is how we're really going to be comparing how much longer is that fork. And how can we find this difference? How can we find the difference? Got a little helper here today. What can we do to find that difference? Okay, so I could line them up, couldn't I? Ooh, that could be a little tricky. I could line them up. Okay, and I could line them up using my my ruler, couldn't I? I can see the difference. Okay, I can see where the 16 is, and I can see where the 21 is, and I can find the difference there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little hops. Okay, so if I wanted to find the difference, I could line up my spoon, and I could line up my fork, and I could use my ruler to help me measure that. Now my ruler is a little makeshift here, isn't it? So here's my 16 and here's my 21. So I could count my jumps or my spaces between. 17, 18, 19, 20, and then I have my 21, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so it's 5 what longer? It's 5 centimeters longer. Remember, it's 21 centimeters, 16 centimeters, so my difference, or the length between the length of the fork and the length of the spoon is 5 centimeters. We have to make sure we label that with the same unit of measure. So it's 5 centimeters longer. Or the spoon is 5 centimeters what? Shorter. I saw one of my friends, what did you do? You did a number line. Or where did you start on your number line? Started at 16, okay? And you went 17, 18, 19, 20, and then 21. So what did you do next? Started at 16 and you jumped. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 jumps of 1, landed on 21. So where's the difference between those two lengths? It's that 5. So what number sentence could you put with that work? 16 plus box equals 21. And what would go in that box based off of that work? 5. Did anybody solve it a different way? Did anybody think about this in a different way? Go a different pathway? What did you do? You started at 21 and you took away what? Something to get to 16. What tool did you use? Did you use the ruler, a number line? What did you do? Use a number line, okay? And so where did you start on your number line? 21. And then what did you do? 20, 19, 18, 17, 16. Okay. So you counted back, and you stopped at 16. And why'd you stop at 16? Because the spoon was 16 centimeters. So you took 5 away to land on 16. And so what would go in that box? What do you think? How are these ways the same? How are they different? We're going to compare that logic and those ideas. Okay, so this one was really thinking about the length of those two objects and lining them up and seeing that difference. Okay, so actually using the objects and seeing that. From the spoon to the end of the fork, what's left but 5. Okay, 5 centimeters are left. Sorry, I'm not really doing a very good job of showing that to you all. If I start at my spoon and I go, you can see where it lands on that. It's really close to that 5. So really thinking about that space. End of the spoon to the end of the fork. These two are using a number line. They're thinking about just these numbers rather than the objects. So they're looking at the longer object and its length and the shorter object and its length. So those are very similar, but how are they different? Yeah, one added to get to 21, one subtracted to get to 16, but they both got what? They both got 5 centimeters as their answer. Very interesting. Let's take a peek at our next problem. And you should have these tools at home. Maybe they're in your little baggie. Maybe you just have them hanging out. But we're going to be collecting and grabbing a marker and a glue stick to measure this measure next. A marker and a glue stick. Our question is, how long are the marker and the glue stick? We're going to measure each to the nearest inch. That's step number 1 in our process. Marker and glue stick to the nearest inch. So am I going to use this side? No, this is my centimeter side. I'm going to flip my ruler. I'm going to look to see where it says inch, because it says to the nearest inch. I'm going to start it on my 0. And I'm not very close to my 6 yet. Am I closer? Let me see here. Am I closer to my 5 or am I closer to my 6? I'm closer to my 5, aren't I? So my marker is about what? Marker is about 5 what? Centimeters or inches? Inches, different unit of measure. It's about 5 inches. We're measuring to the nearest inch. It was closer to my 5 than it was to my 6. Let's take a peek at this glue stick. And remember, hopefully your teachers have given you a little baggie of goodies. If you're at home, if you're in the classroom, you have these tools with you. But we're going to be thinking about how long the next object is. I want you all measuring this. Don't leave me hanging. Don't make me do it by myself. What do you notice? It's about what? 3 inches long. So my glue stick marker is about 5. Glue stick is about 3 inches. So our next question, which object, are you ready for this one? Which object is shorter? Which object is shorter? It's a different question than my first one, isn't it? Which one is shorter? Looking for some thumbs. Yes. How do we know my glue stick is shorter? Okay. So when we hold them up, you can see that the glue stick is the shorter object. I do have to make sure that I'm lining it up just right at the bottom. They're all lined up. See that? Flat. And you can see that this one goes way above this one. So we can see it, can't we? When we look at our numbers, 5 inches and 3 inches, how can we use that to tell us that the glue stick is shorter? 3 is less than 5. When we're counting, we say 3 first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3 is a smaller number than 5. Okay? Now our next big question, how much shorter is it? How much shorter is it? How can we find the difference? Go ahead and take a minute. You can think about what we did with our fork and our spoon. Show me how you might solve this problem. How much shorter? And put your thumb in front of your tummy. What tool are you using? And where are you starting on your number line? You're using a number line too. Where are you starting though? So are you going to go forward or backwards? And how big are your jumps going to be? How are you using your ruler to help you? Ooh, and where is the difference in that? Awesome. Got some friends here ready to share. Are you all ready to share and find out what we're doing at home? Oh, I can't wait to see this. I've got a few friends that did some work. So, one of my friends, I'm actually going to draw a picture of, I'm going to mark on my board where I want to make sure you guys can see this. So we know that our marker is about 5 inches. I'm going to mark with my black so that you can see it better. Here's my marker length. Okay. And my glue stick is only how many inches long? It's only 3. Okay. I am using my pencil to kind of mark it first. So I can make sure that and I got to do it in a straight line. I gotta make sure that I do it just right. We have to use that precision when we're measuring so we can make sure that we're measuring as exact as possible. Okay, so friend, you measured, you had your marker and your glue stick, and how did you figure out the difference? Okay, so you start at the end of the glue stick. There's your glue stick spot. Okay, and then you measured to the end of the marker. And when you came down here, what did you notice? You guys see what number that was? You saw that there were 2 inches. So this was 3, this was 5, and that was 2. Is there something we think of when we see that problem? Did anybody else see this? We know that 3 plus 2 equals 5. So a glue stick that's 3 inches plus 2 more inches equals a marker that is 5 inches. Ooh, I like that. So you measured from the end of the glue stick to the end of the marker to find that difference. What else can we do to help us solve this problem? Okay. Using a number line. So where'd you start on your number line, my friend? 5, okay? And what did you do next? Oh, you took away a 3. 1, 2, 3. Why did you take away 3? Okay, because the glue stick was 3 inches long. So when you took away 3, what did you find? Oops. That you landed on 2. So we have 3 plus 2 equals 5. 5 minus 3 equals 2. So what's your unknown there? Very nice. And then you use the number line as well. What did you do? You started at 3 and jumped up 2 to equal 5. Where does that look? What does that remind you of? This one, right? Starting at 3, jumping 2 to get to 5. Holy guacamole, second grade. Doing some really great thinking about comparing the length of objects, either by using our number lines that we've been using all year long, or measuring from the end of one to the end of another to find that difference, just like we would do if we were solving another compare problem. Tomorrow we're going to be solving some word problems with comparing the length of objects. I'm really excited to see our challenges get amped up. Remember, we're going to continue seeing the different ways that we go about solving a problem, whether we're adding and subtracting, measuring with a ruler, or using a number line to help us. And then we're going to be comparing those. So we're solving them different ways, and then we're thinking about how those ways are similar and different and how that can change our thinking. Happy measuring, friends. I'm excited to see you comparing numbers again tomorrow.